Welcome everyone to another Overwatch from Twisted Dice. Today, joining me in the studio, I've got my good old pal Alex.
Right, guys.
And a new member to the team. He can introduce himself.
I'm John. Nice to meet you.
If you haven't watched, he's probably still a little bit sulky from the last game we just played. If you haven't watched already, we've just done a live stream where we just done Imperial Guard versus John's Chaos Space Marines, where he took World Bearers and took under the Death Guard. It was a really good game. Really, really good game. Right, so today we are going to be talking about the Arks of Omen. And to do us proud is our main man, Alex, is going to take us through some of the new things and some of the thoughts and feelings of what this book brings.
So you're going to go to what happened in the Arks of Omen book before we take a look at some of the points changes and the balanced data slate changes that also have come out today when we're recording. So the biggest thing everyone knows, we got the brand new detachment, which you must take that detachment and that detachment only now in the Arks of Omen missions.
That's interesting.
But you are allowed to, of course, add your allied patrol or an auxiliary super heavy.
Okay.
You're allowed one Arks of Omen detachment, an allied patrol, and a super heavy auxiliary.
So does that now mean that the other...
Yeah, so you're not allowed to use those other...
They're basically redundant.
Other force augs
Wow.
in an Ark of Omen battle.
Okay, that's really interesting.
However, that Ark of Omen detachment combines all of them together. You have a mandatory HQ unless you're knights. And you just have a minimum 3 of one other slot. And then you can top it up.
Wow.
However you want, basically.
Yeah, so it's like up to 6 of everything except troops, or not just 9.
And your characters who normally take up elite slots, they're all separate now as well.
Yeah, so you get a bonus 3 elite slots for a character units.
Wow,
so
okay.
Technically, you'd be taking 3 Master of Executions and not take up any elite slots, which is really good.
So it opens it up. You can build any army you want now with that detachment, and it's a 0 CP cost detachment.
So far, this is sounding good.
It's a nice change. I like it. Like I've been saying, it opens your army to how do you want to build it. Build it like that. So moving on from there, like the next one that came up was that bit was aircraft. Aircraft must start in reserves, and they cannot leave the table and still bomb something. So the plane that flew over and left the table can't now drop bombs.
Well, that's kind of good because then that's kind of stopping some of the...
Stopping the turn one.
It's that turn 1 Alpha Strike you can't stop. It's the weird, you've tagged it with a flying unit, but now rather than just shooting, it's just going to fly off and still bomb you.
Was that really a big thing in the meta at the moment, though?
The Tau do it a lot. The Dark Eldar bombers were
good,
out and about.
To do it.
But we're not really... What I'm saying
They're
is
not huge in the meta outside of Tau. And like the Harpy is aircraft, so that has to. I suppose that'll be a turn 2 thing.
I suppose they must have hopefully foreseen something. Now bringing this out, it's now stopping some of that from happening. So predicting what some of the cheese that may come to the battlefield.
What do you think? Like the Mechanicus is possibly coming back to the table. They've got their bomber planes.
So does that mean that the potentially turn 1 no planes? So it's turn 2.
You cannot have a plane in turn 1 because it's coming from strategic reserves.
Cool.
So it is a deep strike reserves though. In some ways, it opens up planes because you're not losing them anymore. You don't have to pay to put them in reserves.
No.
Because that's the change in the Arks detachment as well. Is reserves is free, isn't it now? Or no CP to throw things in reserves.
That's interesting.
So free planes coming in. So for the Orcs, that WAS bomb that you didn't really take because if you went second, it didn't.
It was dead.
It was dead.
It was dead.
Now you just turn 2. You will be able to get your plane deep striking in. So I think gun planes you might see a couple of them now. It's again situational, but it's a major change you need to be aware of.
Nice.
Again, it's a good change.
I like it as a change. I enjoy that.
So what about what's the next thing on the agenda?
So realistically that's it's in terms of the major changes before you look at missions and secondaries.
So going at looking at their meta watch they posted out the other day, it's quite interesting because they talk about the win rates and where Games Workshop want the meta to be. They're not specifically after every army to be in 5-0 in every game. They're looking to have that 50% win rate across the board. Warhammer is quite a hard one to balance.
Just think you've probably got upwards of 500 data sheets.
There's quite a lot.
But
there's got to be some
trying to be unique.
But there's got to be some software out there that allows, you would think.
They have a huge spreadsheet. Jervis Johnson wrote about it in a White Dwarf a few years ago. They just have a huge spreadsheet that's been worked on over years and years, and it kind of does that. But of course, you have other agendas, sales targets, and economic sides of it. It's not just the game.
No, when Games Workshop have been openly in the past and said they don't write rules, they make models. That's the bottom line. But it does seem though,
I think
in their defence, like of late, it does seem like they are looking upon the meta now and actually looking upon the tournament play and actually thinking upon it.
The tournaments bring people in, right? You bring people in, they'll buy models.
Yeah.
You have a changing meta, which they're doing. They're changing how it goes. People will buy other models. So it works for them. I mean, so, yeah, that's that way. But going on, changes. They changed secondaries almost.
Slightly.
There's a theme in with this book, guys. I'll be clear about it. There's small changes.
We didn't get none of the promises that were made.
It's not the sweeping changes.
No.
We were not promised, but were thinking were coming.
Hinted at. It was definitely hinted at.
So, I mean, you having told you're not after troops choices, some of the kind of basic secondary objectives you'd take, your assassinate and grind, give you a reason to take troops now, John, don't they?
100% they do. You take assassinate now. If you kill a character with a troop, you get a CP as well as obviously the 3 points for killing the character.
Okay, that's not
really
bad.
Good. It's good, isn't it?
That's good. I like that. That's cool. Makes it worth you
them
taking.
Down as well. If you've killed units with troops choices, gain a CP. This is locked to troops and war dogs, which are not war dogs aren't just the knights troops choices.
Yeah, sure. And to be fair, if you're playing knights, you tend to see them be more prominent on the actual battlefield anyway. Okay, so what's next?
So every single psychic secondary that I think we've seen has basically gone up one. It's one harder to cast.
Okay.
So Warp Ritual goes up from a 3 to a 4.
Your Interrogate's 4 to 5. So I think that's a good change. I quite like that because most armies that had psychers were doing the psychic secondaries and scoring very well on them.
They were an easy secondary.
Yeah,
that's what they were.
And a number of opponents had no way to interact or even stop it outside of get in and kill that protected character psyker.
Okay.
So that's nice. It's small change, but it might mean you fail it once in a while.
So one of the big things was they're talking about improving some of the secondaries now for Chaos Space Marines. Did that happen?
In my opinion, not really.
So,
I mean, when it was first mentioned, I had in my head that we were going to get 2 faction-specific ones. That's what I would like to have seen. But instead, they've just made very tiny changes to the ones you already got. So, for instance, Word Bearers, we sit 6 inches from the middle, and we basically perform an action. We score 2 points first time, 5 points, 7 points, and then 15 points for 4 turns.
2, 5, 9, 15 or something?
No, it jumped from 7 to 15, from 9 to 15.
Yeah.
Now, the only change they've done is instead of scoring 2 on your first one, you score 3. That is the only change.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, your long war as well that you took?
Yeah.
It now caps at 4 per turn instead of 3.
They're very, very minimal changes.
Like that one you did that you never took, the kill things with your characters. Yeah. Again, that's just all becomes the 3 CP for any character vehicle kill.
So it's not really making Marines easier
So
to
Chaos
score.
Marines
It's not
gain anything
making
from those
losing armor
secondaries.
contempt any better, which is
So-
what I thought we were going to do.
So losing armor contempt, that's massive. So hopefully with this new points change, that Chaos Space Marines have gone down in points.
No, we've gone up in points. Terminators have gone up by 3 points each. Abaddon's gone up by 50 points.
That's massive.
There's no points decreases. Everything, if it's changed, it's gone up. Chaos Space Marines have been royally. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at the secondaries, you didn't even get hard done by everybody's.
No.
We're getting better secondaries, balanced secondaries.
Yeah,
it's not changed much at all. Like,
I think
outside of maybe, like, even the basic Space Marines one is
but
meh.
they've got the Space
There's
Marines
some,
got.
like, we'll
points
get back
decreases
to
everywhere.
the points and the balance data
Everywhere.
slate, but in terms of secondaries, it's really not.
Yeah, secondaries
much.
were very poor.
I mean, Sisters, theirs have changed probably the most.
Score 4.
So
now
yeah,
instead of 5?
Sacred Ground is 4, not 5, which is nice.
Yeah.
Leap of Faith was a big change.
I like
So,
this
rather than use your miracle dice, get points just for using them,
Yep.
you now need to save a miracle dice to discard at the end of your turn. And you get points
Depending
based on the
what you throw
value
away.
of that die. So if you've got a 1 to 3, you discard it, and you're only allowed to discard 1 per turn. 1 point for a 1 to 3, 2 points for a 4 or 5, or 3 points if you have a 6 that you're discarding.
good.
So that secondary
It's good.
is still useful, but it's not a 15 anymore.
It needed to happen. I mean, it's capped at 12 anyway, I think.
Yeah, I think it's still capped to 12,
Yeah.
Good.
but if you roll bad, or you just need
Yeah.
that 6
Yeah.
that you're trying to save,
You now have to question whether you
Yeah.
want to score them points or use that 6
Sure.
in the game.
Okay. So anything else that stood out for yourself on secondaries? Necrons?
Necron's got toned back
Yeah.
as well. Like,
Needed to.
better. So I mean, what is it? So Code of Combat is not there anymore. So everyone, all these major factions, you have 3 secondaries now. Everyone just gets 3, and sub-faction books get 1.
Okay.
Ancient Machineries, which was the one everyone was taking, walk out onto the objective your opponent chooses, get a load of points. It's now locked to core units.
Good.
So no random tank doing it. You have to have the core keywords. Purge. You can't score Purge Vermin turn 1.
Okay.
Should be.
Yeah, so like a lot of the other ones, you can't do it turn 1. I went first, well, that's 3 points because you're not in my zone and you're not in my 2 other zones because you couldn't be. So that's fine. That puts it in line, and it means it's, again, a 10 to 12 pointer, maybe more if you're doing well.
Good.
And treasures, walk out, do an action. That's 4 victory points per, no, treasures is stand on the point.
Stand on.
But that's 4 points for holding the 3, not 5.
Yeah.
So again, just tone it back slightly. You can't just max it in 3 turns. Orcs got a little better ones. So Green Tide, you only need to be 3 inches away from other table quarters. Good Bits is now 4 VP per action from 3 in, but it caps at 6 per round as well, not 5.
Good.
So you get that one which you were already probably planning for has
You're
improved.
definitely planning for it
Yeah.
now.
Right. The Votan didn't change. The Tau didn't change. World Eaters have one where you need to spend Blood Tithe points to score your secondary.
Ooh. Maybe they
So,
hinting on something there.
There's something that's not in that
I
white
personally
dwarf,
think
is there?
World Eaters were supposed to be out before this was.
Yeah.
That's what I think should have been.
So yeah, World Eaters are getting Blood Tithe points. And if you discard unused ones at the end of your turn, you get victory points.
That's going to be interesting because when you see the codex, you ain't doing that.
Yeah.
You're spending them on something else.
So, I mean, looking at Harlequins as well for the secondaries.
It's just calling out.
Deadly performance, so you jumping around into your enemy's deployment zone is core units, so no Star Weaver.
Yeah, no transports, just your troops now.
Yeah.
Good.
Wrath of Magnus isn't there for Thousand Suns.
Ooh.
And of course the other one, the psychic one they had, went up a point.
Yep.
Guard, they still have their really good secondaries. Like boots on the ground, they've tidied the keywords up, but boots is now 3 inches away, and any platoon infantry, the inflexible command, again tidied the keywords, and you get more points for killing things on orders now. It got better.
Guard and Orcs are the winners on secondaries.
Yeah,
it does sound. So. It does sound that. I think for the next couple of weeks anyway, next couple of months, while Guard are going to be extremely blooming hot.
Yeah.
There is no data on them at the moment in the thing, but I think it's pretty obvious what we've seen on the channel so far.
I'd have thought 60-65% win rates.
They're going to be right up there.
And I wouldn't. The LVO coming up, the only reason I think you might not see Guard is the GW terrain with the 4 big boxes can make it very hard for them.
So, what's that? You would like us to adopt the new GW terrain with a feed bit?
Can we get some, please?
I think, for me, with 40k, I think that's one of the things I do miss about 40k. A lot of the events I'm going to now, more people tend to use the same terrain layout, and I think we're still good on the bikes. So we start seeing more and more tables being used in the same terrain. I do miss going to a tournament and then each table being different.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that each table will have hardly any terrain, because that's not cool, but just like lacking of character.
There's less variety.
Yeah,
and I do miss that.
It's got a bit of flavour to it.
Look, but that's my personal preference, because I know like loads of people out there prefer, they don't mind going to a tournament that being exactly the same board, 5 rounds, and I get that.
And looking at that for this chapter approved as well, this Arks of Omen, they're not going to have to change any of their deployment layouts, or none of the terrain they've got set has to change, because the missions didn't change.
They're all the same.
We have the same 9 missions again.
But I thought that was the whole idea. They were going to change the missions up.
It's exactly the same 9 missions. Abandoned Sanctuaries is now the change on that. You can't turn 1 reserves into the no man's land.
Look, I suppose
that's the change.
I suppose
you still have that bottom of end scoring. You've still got. It's a.
Well, look, I suppose that. Let's come away being positive, because it's quite easy sometimes to be really, really negative on, everything that they do, and there are some positives in there. They've addressed some of the secondaries.
Yeah, some of the secondaries have improved. They have toned back some of the crazy ones. Blood Angels lost their No Furies, so the Death Company 3 points for a kill, bonus 1 for dying is gone.
Good.
The ones they needed to nerf got nerfed.
Yeah, the horror
100%.
The really bad ones are gone. They've done well. And Engage, they've made that easier as well. You basic Engage, to get your 4 quarters, you only need to be 3 away from the other quarters again.
Good.
So still 6.
It's 6 if you want 3, but if you want to get all 4, you only need to tuck over.
Okay.
So it's nice.
So look, there are some really good bits in here.
It's positive, 100%.
For me personally, I'm super excited, excited for 10th coming around. I've got a really good feeling that Games Workshop's going to come out with something really, really cool in this. I'm super cool. So apart from that, was there any other changes?
Not in that book. That book as a whole feels like it could have been an FAQ, but it fits everything else they've done. We do now know what missions we're playing for the next 6 months.
Okay. Same as the last 6 months.
Yeah. But the major changes actually aren't in that book.
Nope.
They're in the balance data slate and the points changes.
Okay. Well, look, there's some good bits there on its own, so I'm super happy with that. So that's pretty much.
I think we could probably add some of these data slate changes, because I think it's all dropped at the same time,
there's some
right?
Big ones.
So you mentioned it earlier.
Them.
Armor Contempt
gone.
No more. Nowhere.
John, what's your thoughts on that?
If we'd have got something in place of it, speaking from a Chaos Space Marine, then yeah, but we didn't.
I think as an Imperial Space Marine player,
you love it.
You're very happy with the changes you just got.
Very happy. Sticky objectives.
Yeah. So you get a troops unit on an objective. You hold that until someone takes it off you.
I think. Look, my armor attempt was good.
It was a good plaster that did what it was meant to do.
I think probably what happened around.
I think
I think Armour of Contempt had to go because like there were armies that got Armour of Contempt that I don't think
shouldn't have had it. No.
Shouldn't have had it. No, and maybe one of the armies that I thought should have had it was Custodes. As crazy as that sounds, because they are very, 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 very small, and I think they would have deserved it more over Sisters. Yeah. I didn't get
why getting it was a bit weird.
That was. I think they kind of
like they went power armor, power armor. Not what does this do to the game, but we don't have to worry about that now. It's no more.
It's not a thing.
The thing that annoys me the most is they keep banging on about the 50% win rate. Chaos Space Marines are 50%. Now we're just going to drop.
Well, look, let's give let's see what happens in a couple of weeks' time, because we've got the big LVO coming up. Yeah. Let's see what happens there, because there's going to be some real top players to go into these events, and they're going to come up with some crazy lists, right?
We'll see Marines, I think we will. So another Marine change. You now get to stay in your doctrine all game. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So your Iron Hands get to stay in Devastated doctrine 5 turns. Ultramarines get to stay in Tactical from round 2.
Good.
Still from round 3.
Still from round 3.
So you can go up your doctrine, but you're not forced to go up it anymore.
As I said, let's see what happens. Let's be positive, because like at the moment, I know it's really easy to get down on the thing, and I know there's going to be a lot of YouTubers out there that's going to like really try to bring you down on the upset side of it. But look, please don't. At the end of the day,
it's a big change, so it's a new puzzle.
I think it's exciting.
A big change.
It's exciting.
Yeah, and remember, like one of the things, obviously, you got to remember, you got like the curve, and at the moment we're kind of like going to the bottom of that curve, but we will come back out of it, and we will be very positive.
We have to think that a lot of their resources are going towards 10th edition.
Yeah, and that's I think you're right on that. Look, we've got 10th just around the corner. I'm really super excited to see what comes of that. I'm super excited to wait and see what World Eaters bring. I think with Armour of Contempt and what I've seen of World Eaters, look, I think World Eaters would probably have been a bit too OP, but you know they could come around and do another FAQ in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah,
you know, once the LVO's gone out, they may go away and go, actually, do you know what? We made a big mistake there.
I would think that the Guard get toned back at that stage.
I think Guard will get toned back.
I think they might get a Votan-style points increase on day 1.
Yeah.
They didn't get nothing today, did they?
Yeah, so that was a thing that
no
Guard points changes.
How can you do a point change for Guard when the Guard Codex is not fully dropped yet? So you kind of got to wait for them to...
Well, they do the same as the Votan. They've had You've had this book out for a while. Like, I've got the book on sale here, sort of thing. We've had the book out for a month, realistically. You can maybe not running it at Evadence, but there is a lot of data being generated through your kind of battles tracking apps.
Yeah.
That will just suddenly have a 20-odd% jump in win rate for Guard. And you can know the units that are crazy. Everyone's talking about them. Your Kassakin, your Lehman Russ. Just nudge those. Maybe.
I think we'll probably see a definite change.
I don't think they'll do huge sweeping changes like the Votan, but there'll be some nudges for the Guard. Changes, I mean, other changes from the data slate, it was small changes.
Flamers.
Yeah.
Flamers got hit.
So your Flamers...
No auto hitting anymore. We basically shoot like a normal shooting phase.
But you're still ballistic skill 3+, right?
3+, 4s if you advance. It's nothing major. And they're still good.
What's positive was that was a needed change.
100% it was needed.
The Flamers' points didn't change, but they've been hit another way.
Yeah.
And I think it was the right way to go.
I think it's a way people didn't expect, because I definitely didn't see that way coming.
No.
I expected like D3+3 or something like that.
Yeah.
Amount of shots and points increase maybe. So, no.
I mean, Demons as a whole got off quite well. A lot of their other units went down significantly. Like that Nurgle units you were never seeing got big drops.
Yeah, fair one.
Yeah, Pinks went down by 10 points.
Yeah, that's good. Again, that was something they needed.
Yeah, 100%.
Harlequins got nudged a bit down again. Well,
+1 to their invuln saves across the board.
Well, reduced by 1, I think.
Reduced by 1, yeah.
It's all 5 pluses. Like you were saying earlier, John, if you stuck something in the open, you expected it to
It's gonna
die.
anyway.
But
It's
you're
just
now.
not a massive
It's
issue,
not.
is it?
It's not a big issue, but it is a big change in that you can't
You can't rely on
change
it so
your luck
much.
dice. You
No.
start with your 0 luck
Still
dice.
start with 0.
So you're not getting this weird
Mirror Architect's
survivability.
back.
It's back, but it's expensive,
It's very
isn't
expensive. It's 60 points now, but it's probably still got to play.
it? Yeah, you'll see it.
Yep.
People will still use it. So I think Harlequins probably end up where they want them.
Where they should be.
They're not going to be that 60%.
No, because they're at 60 and they still and have been for a while.
But they could very well drop to them 50s.
Yeah.
Which, great.
I mean, I still think played well. The 5 up won't hinder them.
No.
Will not
If you're,
touch them.
you're playing your Twilight,
Yeah.
just running around the terrain, you're going to lose your guys slightly quicker than you were losing them very quickly.
Yeah, it's like you said earlier. Instead of being left with that 2-men troop, it's just going to get wiped.
Yeah.
That'll be the difference. But then you expect that.
Yeah, you were happy when you had a random guy left.
Yeah.
So I think they've done Harlequins well.
I do.
Nids, we'll see.
I think they went a bit
they
too,
got
too
expensive.
Heavy. I think they went too heavy on Nids.
Yeah, Nids, they kind of did go over a bit of a scalpel.
So I think at the end of it, I said earlier, it's a new puzzle. There's been lots of little changes, some major changes, some new armies will come out. Space Marines will get better. They're not going to be a 30-something%. We didn't say about AdMech, 5-up Invan everywhere on all their Skitarii stuff. Might start seeing them. Extra
I think
core.
we'll definitely see AdMech come back in the battlefield.
So I think I
know Grant's very excited to see them.
Tony is as well.
Yeah.
So I think what they've probably done well is bunch that field close to that 50% they want. Like the top armies have been hit, the bottom armies have been pushed up. So you'd say on an initial impression, they've probably got it about right.
Yeah. Let's wait and see. Let's give it a bit of time. Let's see how things are. It just means that the armies that we're used to playing at the moment, we're not going to be playing that in the same way we did before. The crutches have kind of been taken away and forcing the hand to play something different.
Add the new detachment. You're going to have a new meta. One way or another, it's going to be different army composition, different ways to solve the same mission.
I've seen some crazy lists coming out of that already.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I am.
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I'm really excited. Anyway, that is us for another Overwatch. Catch us again on Thursday nights from 7 o'clock. We'll go live, do a live battle report. We've got one coming up next week, which I think is going to be the new rules with the Space Marines. I'm not sure who we're pitting out against, but if you're following us on Facebook, we'll be posting up on there. And of course, if you haven't checked out our webpage, Alex and John have been putting up some really cool blogs up on there, but we'll also be posting up on there on the next battle report and who's going to be taking part in it. I've been your host, Darren.
This is Alex.
John.
Hopefully we'll catch you all again. If you haven't already, do please hit that like and subscribe. It does help the channel grow, and hopefully we'll catch you all very soon.